Hi there, this is Mikey from Lost Treasure Designs. Today we're going to be creating this really fun take on Alice in Wonderland. This is one of our first horizontal journal kits that we've created, and it turned out really pretty. So I'm going to just kind of give you a walkthrough on what it's going to turn out in the end. So this kit is filled with tons and tons of really awesome artwork, lots of fun embellishments, tags, and little scenes from the stories. It's got these fun dividers that also have like places that you could put some pockets to create some stuff, and then it has these really pretty horizontal journal pages, and all with little scenes from the book, little nods to the things that all encompass the Wonderland world. And then we've got more dividers, so there goes like pages and a divider, then more pages, you just see all these pages, and then another divider, some different, you know, fun little character cutouts. We've got more pages, and really this particular one is only filled with one per binding, but I've also created one where I've printed double the pages and then I just attached another page to this side, and I'll show you how I do that later on. And then we've got all these different little pockets, fun things. This is like a little door, little pop-up embellishment there. And then of course a little door with a pocket. And then we've also got some extra little things that can go into this big flappy pocket. We've got some file folders here. You can put stuff in, and even create a little space for a pen holder, although I would have done this one a little bit wider. So when I do this, hopefully I remember, I was just using the scraps that I had when I did that. This time I'll try to make it a little bit wider so that it fits in there a little bit better. So that is basically the kit, and it's nice, it's thick. You can kind of see it'll actually stand up on its own when it's, so it makes a nice display. So I'm going to kind of go over now the pages. So if you have the kit, get the kit, because this is the kit that it goes with. These are all the pages that we want to print on cardstock, and there are a ton of them. We got 30 pages for cardstocking, although there is one page that we will want to print, or 2 pages that we're going to want to print twice. So you're going to plan on getting at least 34 pages of cardstock. Okay, and then these are the journal pages. I print the journal pages on this, I should say, the cardstock I print. This is a 100-pound cardstock, and I use Hammermill for mine. I've also going to show you that I've printed this one. This is a photo paper that is a matte photo paper, and I like to print like the front cover and stuff with the photo paper. I'm going to show you how to do this little pop-up with that, but kind of wanted to take a second and show you the difference. I really like this paper. I would print everything in this because it's nice and sturdy. It's a little thicker than it feels a little thicker than like a 90-pound. The only problem with this photo paper is it does not fold very well, and I've noticed that when you even when you score it and you kind of ease the folds over, it will still start to crack. So that is why I suggest, if you're going to use this photo, like a photo matte paper, to just do it on pieces that aren't going to be folded much. Then the journal pages, these are 8.5 by 11s. Printed on these particular ones. I've been using HP premium 32-pound paper, and I think they print beautiful, nice vibrant colors printed on that paper. So I'm going to set these ones off to the side, and I'm going to go over the pages that you're going to want to print. A lot of this, you're not going to want to print anything on the back of them, because a lot of it's going to get stacked up on top of each other. So pages 1 and 2, you are going to print those. These are going to be our page bindings. And then we have page 3. This is going to be our spine. And page 4, we've got some more pockets. Now these are the pages 5 and pages 6 that it says up here at the top to print 2. You might not see that, so I'm going to tell you now, you're going to want 2 of these. I did a Halloween one that is like this, and I skipped that step, and it worked out. It wasn't as like heavy duty, like the cover. Once it's done, you'll see this is like heavy duty, where it's nice and thick, but it will still work if you don't print 2 out, but I suggest printing 2 out. So 2 of those, and 2, oh look, I've already printed them. 2 page 5s and 2 page 6s. Good for me, I did it already. Okay, you got your front cover. You can kind of notice here. So I printed 3 of number 7. This is our front cover. You can kind of see the difference between the quality of the print. This is the photo paper. This is just the heavy cardstock. And you can see this has got much more vibrant tones than this one. But this is also like twice the price of this paper. So, save yourself a buck. Use this just for the covers and anything that doesn't have folds, and I think you can have a really beautiful journal when you're done without spending a ton on that. The reason why I printed 3 is because I want to make this fun pop-up. We're going to cut one where we're going to cut it out, use the mounting foam squares, and then I cut out Alice, the cards, and the little butterfly here so that I can make it a little bit more three-dimensional. Because, Alice in Wonderland is kind of that, we're blending fantasy with reality, and I think that just really helped it. Okay, so we got a back panel, inside cover panels, and then we have our dividers starting with page 15. We've got our outer spine with some pockets. This is an optional pop outs for your spine. I will go over that as the tutorial goes on. Then we have our dividers. And these are the ones that I would suggest printing on the back of, because you are going to be seeing the back of these ones. And this kit comes with a ton of beautiful designer pages that you can print on the backs of those. So the rest of these pages, it's up to your discretion whether you're going to print something on the back of them. I like to do it because I want all of my little embellishments to have a back. Some of the pockets, you're not going to really see the backs of those, but they're kind of mixed in with some of these other embellishments. So I just went ahead and printed on all of those. This is another fun little pop out. I didn't, oh, it's because I put it in this thing. Because I was a little, I did it thinking I was going to like design it a little different, do this fun little like card pop-up thing, but then I don't know what to do with it. So I stuck it in this thing, and it kind of has just like the plain cards that just pop out. But what's fun about this is that it can also act as little pockets to put some more fun stuff in. So that is a fun little thing that we will do together a little later. So I was going to try to put it like inside the book so that it kind of like accordioned out, but I couldn't figure out how to get it to work properly. And it just, sometimes things just don't go from my brain to the paper. But it turned out cool inside that little thing. So then you got more embellishments, such fun stuff. I have a ton of fun designing this kit. We've got our little file folders, and then we have our big pocket. And then we have the door and stuff. Okay, I'm going to set all this off to the side because I have already cut out everything. And I've also gone ahead and I've inked around my edges after I cut everything out. I do it all before, so it saves me a step. However, I'm always going to go back once I have it done to go around the edge of the book so that I know that it was done properly. Or so, you know, that just looks nice. Okay, so I'm going to pull out all my bigger pages that I'm going to be using. Right now I'm just going to be using those 5 and 6 pages. These ones I'm just going to set off to the side. I've also got my journal pages in here too, but I don't need all of this right at this moment. So I'm going to put those over here and I'm going to focus on these. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm basically going to be gluing the backs of these together. And I don't think it really matters if you're using 5 and 6 or 5 and 5, or because they're the same. Exactly the same. Okay? Just when we put it together, we want the straight edge in the center and the curved edge on the end. So I'm just going to use some tacky glue. If you, one option too, you could run tape along this edge. I'm not going to do that. I will be using tape, but I'm not going to use it just to mount these 2 pieces of cardstock together. This is going to give us a really nice base for our cover. And I think this was just, I was trying to come up with a way that you didn't have to like have additional like chipboard or something that you're using with the kit. I wanted this kit to be 100% something you could just print and make. So I'm just going to line these up. The reason why I like glue is because I can move it around, make sure my edges are all together. Now I'm going to use this fancy dirty looking tool. I love to use my tools, and they sure do get messy. So any glue that comes out the edge, I just want to grab a hold of and clean up a bit. And you can see that like this, I didn't cut these exactly identical, so that's going to poke out a little bit there. That's why I would want to then go and ink that edge, but I'm not going to worry about that right this moment. I will probably do it after I get the binding of this all put together, or at least the cover all connected. You can be fancy with your glue, or you can get out a paintbrush and, you know, paint it on. You could roll it on. I've seen lots of tutorials where they're rolling their paint on, and I'm like, oh, that looks like really good, but I'm the kind of person that doesn't want to have to clean up the roller and all that. I guess if I were making like lots of them at the same time, the roller would be like a really good option, because that would distribute your glue really, really well. I've also found some full page adhesive, like double-side stickers, which I really like those too, but that can get really expensive very, very fast. Okay, so I'm going to have both my straight edges in the center. I want to grab this piece. This is on page, I don't know what page it's on, let's see. On page 3, okay. Attach both pages 1 and 2 here. Oh, that's because of pages 1 and 2 are our bindings. Okay, I don't have to worry about that. Okay, I'm gonna flip this over, and I'm gonna run some tape and some glue. Oh my goodness. Yeah, look how nice and pretty this guy is. Oh, my goodness. I'm an artist, okay? Everything is covered in at least one layer of paint or marker or ink. Alright, just want to run some glue. Oh, I should have mentioned that I did score this. If you look at the front of this, you'll notice that there is a line that goes parallel to this little white rectangle. That is your score line. So I scored that already, and now I'm going to attach these by going just to the side of that score line. Try my best. I'm like taped to my roll of tape. Okay. Just to the side of it. So you can see the score line is here. I'm just going to the side of that. I'm hoping I remember how to put this all together, because it was like a month ago that I made that other one, and I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably do a tutorial on that so people know what they're doing. Then I have to try to remember what I'm doing. Okay. Alright, so we got those two attached to that. And you could have this side. This is actually going to be our inside side. This is our outside side. So I just flipped it over. Okay, our next step is we're going to want this fun piece, and this is going to be on page 15. Okay, so in this one, just like this other one, we've got a score line going down here and a score line going down there, which I did not score. So pull this guy out. Just going to score along there. right, and because this is our outside, I want to flip this over so that I see this white part. That way I can be remembered that my pages 1 and 2 go there. Okay, so I'm going to just put some tape along this center, and I'm not going all the way to the end. You'll see I kind of stop where this little thing is cut. You know, these are cut out. And the reason why is because those are going to wrap around the end here, and I don't want to get ahead of myself with the tape and it be all sticky and stick to something else as I'm trying to wrap it around. So I am just putting some tape, and you could just do this with glue. I'm using tape because I don't want to have to wait forever doing a tutorial and have, you know, I don't want it to take so long doing the tutorial. This just helps it go on a lot quicker. If I could get the backs off the tape. Goodness gracious. I found that peeling this stuff off works a lot better if you have fingernails. And I'm just running some glue. Okay, now I'm going to line this up. I want to line basically these lines with the edges of these. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. Maybe use this to cradle it until I get to the edge. Down, so I can now flip it over, and these I'm going to pull over and put down. So I'm just going to put a tiny bit of tape just on the end of these. And just pull it over. And if you want to have your spine binding kind of poke up a little bit, you could have those poke out, or you can just have it flush with these front two. It's up to you. Ooh, these kits are designed for you to make them your own. So okay, so we got those down. So we've pretty much made our cover. I'm going to just use my little tool there to help me. I mean, we've already scored it, but it always helps to have something to help bend it into shape. Okay, so now we've made this nice little folder. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and set this off to the side because now we get to mess with pages 1 and pages 2. So we got all these little strips, and they basically are just going to stack one on top of the other. Okay, you could do it backwards. You could do I think I'm going to go in reverse order because this says like strip 12 attached to strip 11. So this is 11. So I'm going to attach this one to this one. So I'm going to kind of go in reverse order until I get to number 1, which will go on top. These all need to be scored. There is a line right above this white rectangle and right below the rectangle. So we are like that going down. So I'm going to go ahead and I've got some thicker tape here. Ooh, maybe that's much too thick. This one is not so thick. And this one could probably use that one too. Now remember, you don't need to use tape for this. You could just use glue. Tape helps me to have this go a little bit faster. Okay, I'm switching now to the thinner tape because the smaller we get in number, the smaller our little space in between these two score lines are. I'm actually going to go even smaller with my tape. Like wondering why I think I got these all mixed up. Yes, I did. Okay, so because this is strip 3 attaches strip 2, which was over here, and strip 1 is not marked. You just know that it's strip 1 because it doesn't have a white strip in the center of it. So just so that I am not super confused, because that was like this was strip 8 going to 9. You can't, I don't know if you can read it. I can read it, but I don't know if you can read it through the tape. But it's good to know what's what so that you, well, it is for me, so that I know that I'm attaching the right ones, since I mixed them all up when I was cutting. That was strip 2 to 1. This is strip 3 to 2, strip 4, 3, here's 5 to 4. So these ones are going to go together. Okay. Yeah, so you have 6 strips per page. 1 through 6 is on page 1. 7 through 12 is on page 2. They are exactly the same. They just have different numbers on them to help you and me stay organized. Organization is nice. 5 to 6, 6 to 5. Okay, so these are all those, and then we have these ones going. It's hilarious. I don't know if you can hear, but my wife is watching hockey and somebody scored, so I hear her screaming upstairs. I don't know if you did, but I did. Let's see, that's 10-9. 10 to 11. Okay. I knew I was like mixing up, though. I keep getting glue stuck to me. Okay, those and those and those. Okay. Now, I've already scored these. I've already chalked the edges, although I will be chalking more on these because even though we'll stick papers to this white side, the journal pages, sometimes you will see the white, and I'll show you a way that you can kind of get around that. So I've already done the tape, but I'm just going to run a strip of glue down there too. I'm going to crease my score lines here just because it will help me to kind of set this one inside the other one. I want to I want these, sorry, it got stuck. I want these to go just on the inside of each of these score lines. That way there's enough give, you kind of see, I don't know if you can see, of where this one meets this one. There's just a tiny, maybe like 1/16 before you get to that other one, before you get to the other fold. That gives us a little bit of leeway when we have our pages, our journal pages, so we can like add stuff to them. Your pages don't have to be, you know, static and flat. You could glue pop-ups and all that. Okay, page strip 5 to 4. Now I want number 4. And 4 to 3. And here's our 3 to 2. And then we have our 2 to 1. Do a thinner line there. And then you can see our 1 does not have the white. So we know that 1 or 7 are going to be the exact same. So whether you put 1 or 7 down, did I score? ha ha. I didn't score both sides. I'm going to quickly score. I got one scored on here. I want the other scored as well. This is always fun when you have a guard on your score. What you can do is grab a scoring tool, and since I have a line here and I have this little gutter, I'm just going to use that to go along there. So I've lined it up with the top and the bottom, and that will help me to have the score line down. Since I have this guard and it doesn't let me get real small pieces like this in there. Okay, now I'm going to just take this one. It's just going to go right down the center of that. Okay, so I've done, this is page 1 spine. Now we got to put together the binding. Now we got to do page 2 binding. I'm going to do this off camera so you don't have to watch that again. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done this other binding. So I've got page 1 binding, page 2 binding. These are going to go here, but before I can put these in, I've got to do a little bit of extra stuff on the outside. This is totally optional, you don't have to do it, but I'm adding in this fun little hangly doodly thing. I don't know what it's called. It's fun. It just hangs. I'm also wanting to add a bookmark here, so you can have this bookmark to, you know, keep your place and stuff. And I will also want to put the rest of my spine pieces on, just because all that is going to be hidden inside the spine. So I'm going to show you how to do those things. And these are some of the things. If you're not planning on doing anything like this, just go ahead and skip. Otherwise, I'm going to show you what I'm going to be doing. So you're going to want, this is just over a foot of ribbon. And this ribbon is, I don't know, I want to say it's a 1/4 inch. Yeah, it's a 1/4 inch, little 1/4 inch ribbon. I've got a little tassel. I've got some fun little charms that were like in a jewelry kit. This one I thought fit well because it's got the rabbit and the heart, you know, on the clock. I'm going to be doing the clock piece as my bottom for this. I've got these little cute heart brads that I'm going to be using, and then I have these things here that are called crimp ends, and they crimp down on the ribbon. And I'm going to show you, oh, this is like about 1.5 inches worth of, maybe it's 2 inches by 1 inch. And I just went with that. You could go a little bit wider because you do, I mean, you have about a 2-inch spine there, so you could go a little bit wider. Basically, you're going to take your ribbon, just stick it right in that crimp, and then take some pliers. These are just some jewelry pliers that have little soft spots on the end. That pop was my knuckle, not the crimp. But you can see just how that just finishes off. And it has this fun little loop that we're going to be attaching all these fun little gizmos to. This was a ring that, it was just a brass ring. I cut it like did a little wire cut, and popped it to turn it into a jump ring, because I didn't have a jump ring. So I'm just going to open that up a little bit, maybe a little bit more, just so that I can then get that one on. Oh, and I'm going to throw this little, it's a key with a heart on the end, little heart key. I'm going to put that there just because it makes a fun little jingly sound. And I did the tassel, but I should have put the tassel first. So I'm going to put the tassel back here because I don't want the tassel to be front and center. I want it to just kind of hang down. And now that I have all that on there, I want to fish my little jump ring through that. Then I'm just going to pull this back together, give it a little squeeze. Then we have our little charm and tassel hanging out. I might shorten this tassel because it's a little long. But now that I have that, make sure I'm going up on the right thing. I'm going to take this. This is the top of my journal. I'm just going to I want everything facing up because once it flips down, it's going to, I want it to all be facing forward. So I'm just going to add a little bit of tape. This is a little bit bigger tape. And I want some glue. Again, this is an optional thing, but I think it adds just a little bit of fun, extra stuff. And the ribbon was just extra ribbon that I had that kind of matched the colors that I was going with. The tassel was from something, and then these were just like charms I stole from my daughter's jewelry making stuff. So you got that in there. Now we've got to get our little bookmark, our bookmark. So on this one, I've got a smaller one. This is a 1/4 inch crimp end. And I'm just going to stick our, this one might be a little trickier because it is thinner. I might, I'm just going to put it in there and then try to crimp it as I hold it. And I'm sure someone has an easier way to go about doing this. If you do, you can share, because that's the only way I know how to do it. Okay, so that's just going to crimp on there. I'm going to grab another jump ring, and I've got this little clock charm. Open that up. I'm not gonna like cut myself today. Hopefully, I hate how these tools have these little wire cutters in the centers because I'm constantly giving myself little blood blisters, and because I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, for the love of Peter Pan. I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to use my fingers. Okay. I put that on. Get these back together. I probably should have melted my ends of my ribbon so it wouldn't fray. But I didn't, so this will be it. that, I mean, totally an optional piece, but it's fun. It adds a little bling. Okay, so I want this to be able to just hang down a little bit. So look at that. I have enough here that I could do 2 bookmarks. And maybe I will. Maybe I will. I got stuff. I got stuff to do it with. Okay. I'm just going to grab another one of these crimp ends. That is their name. Came in a nice little kit, like lots of different ones. Just going to fold that one over. Ow. I'm going to crimp my fingers in there. Do not crimp your fingers in there. It's like the jaws of life. Alright. Crimp down. Okay, so I've got 2 of these. I'll add a charm later. But both of these will work. I got 2 of them. I like that. Okay, I'm just going to fold this in half. And I'm going to put some glue down here. Just to glue that guy down. Now I'm going to grab this tape just to help hold it. And we'll pull that tape off when we go to put our binding mechanism in. But those will hang out that way, all cutesy. And then we have our 2 bookmarks that we'll use. Okay, so now flipping this back over to this side, I want to add some fun little blingy stuff here. So we've got this piece. This is to cover that, and I did it so that I wanted layers is basically what I wanted to do. But I've also got like this little cutout that you can use pop-up, a little foam tape mounting stuff to pop that up. And this is where I'm going to be using these little hearts, just to add a heart up here and a heart down there, like I did on this spine. You can kind of see that. Okay, so there's heart there, heart there. There's also another clock somewhere in the jumble of stuff. So I'm not going to really show you how I'm going to do this. Basically, I'm going to pop these through here like that. I'm going to open them up, and then I'm going to glue this down. Okay, I don't think you need to see me attach this to this. Okay, so let's move on, so I'm not like taking up all the time on accessories that aren't, you know, really a part of the kit or the process of putting this together. Okay, so I got my bindings. They're gonna go here. Doesn't matter which one is what. I don't know which one is what. One is 1 and 1 is 2. But we're going to glue them side by side right there. And a trick I came up with last time is I flipped them around. And I taped these together. And I found that it worked a little bit better trying to get them nice and snug up against each other. I'm going to take the tape off of this guy. maybe. And I'm going to take the tape off of this guy. And I'm going to give it a nice coat of glue. You'll notice mine has a little bit of a gap between these two. I don't want a gap, so I'm gonna, when I place this down, I'm gonna pinch these middle ones together because I want these to be nice and snug up against each other. I don't want there to be a huge gap. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this over and I'm going to place it down the center. You can kind of see that I'm going just on that line on that side and just on the line on this side. I'm going to put it down. I'm going to use my bone folder to help me stick that down so that it's nice and down. You could go individually opening these up and, you know, really distributing the glue and stuff. You just want it to make sure that it's getting nice and stuck down. Okay, so there is our binding mechanism. This is how we're going to be attaching our horizontal pages to this, since we you know, we can't like sew them in, you know, by folding and sewing. So we're going to do it this way. Okay, so our next step is we can add our cover and our inner covers. When we're adding those in, we're going to want to have our closing our closure mechanism. I'm opting to go with just a ribbon. If you want to do like a latch, you know, this would be really cute with a latch coming across here that you maybe have to unlock to open. I'm just doing some ribbon. This is more than I need, but you could see this is the same amount that I used here for this one. I don't need that much, but I really liked the gigantic, you know, whimsical bow that it made. I really liked this ribbon that I found at I think it was Michael's. Maybe it was Michael's. I think it was Michael's. But it's wired. I don't want it wired. So I'm just grabbing the wire and I'm just pulling it through. And get the wire all the way out, because if you want to make a really nice bow for like a wreath or something, wire is a good option, but I don't want the wire for my journal. So I'm just gonna pull that out. You could save this or not. I know every crafter is like, oh, could save that and do something with it that I have no idea what I will do. I'm just taking this and I'm folding it in half and I'm going to cut it so that I have two of them. If you want to know how much I have, I want to say this is just over a foot. I maybe have fabric scissors instead of whatever my kids decided to do with those. Okay, so what I'm going to do with these, cut them in half. I'm going to put them in the center here. I'm just going to add a little bit of tape, and then I'm going to add some glue. And you might be thinking, oh, Mikey, that's not going to hold very well. And it won't. So I'm going to show you how we can make it hold a little bit better. I'm just going to go ahead. I've put my glue down. tap it a little bit, and you can see how that glue is going to come up through the fabric. That obviously is, I mean, it's not like holding, this isn't going to be like holding this big gigantic thing together, but we do want to make it a little stronger than what we just did. I've got my cover. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put some glue along my cover on my edge here. I'm not going to worry about this side. I'm going to try to get my corners lined up with my edge so that I have just about 1/8 of an inch border going around this front cover panel. Distribute my glue, bring it all out to the edges. Ooh, that's a lot of glue. Okay, so now we have that down. It's gonna hold this, but I mean, if you want to make it a little bit stronger, this is what I suggest to do. So I've got a piece of foam. This is just some dense foam. I'm gonna stick it under there. I'm gonna grab an awl tool, which is a little pokey thing, and I'm gonna poke a hole. Let me see if I can get these. I'm gonna poke a hole here, and I'm gonna poke a hole there. So that is, you know, our ribbon extends to about here. And I'm going to take my little now these are like cute in theory, but they don't work. Like, you have to like really work on them because they're like completely opposite each other to try to get it through there. Okay. So I've got these little doodads here that will help secure the ribbon a little bit more. I'll flip this over and I'm going to open these little arms up. These heart ones, they're fun, but they're a little more tricky to open than just a normal brad. But I saw them and I was like, oh, those would be fun to use. But look at that, that's nice and sturdy now. Okay, and now we can add our inner panel. One of these is our inner, and this is our back one. Where is my inner panel? The reason why I know it's back, because it's got our curved edge and the hearts are facing the right direction. Here we go. This is our front one. And this is going to cover those up. You can add a little bit of glue on top of that. But once this is down, it should hold that brad in. And it covers up those little legs. So when this cover is all done, you've got 4 layers of cardstock So it's a nice sturdy cover. So I'm just like I did with the front, I'm lining up these corners. Oh, I could pull this flat back and just set it right on top so I have a nice border going around this. Bring all my glue to the edges. My accessories are getting in the way. Alright. So there is our front cover. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing to the back. I'm going to glue my ribbon. I'm going to add those two brads to help hold it. Then I'm going to glue my back panel to cover those brads. I will do that in a second, but I first wanted to show you how I was going to do the pop out so that you can kind of see this three-dimensional look that you can get with printing 3 covers. So I've got these. Now I just gotta cut them out. So, and this is where I saved my scraps of this and I created that pen holder. And I think I'm gonna maybe use just a little bit more. You can look at this and say, Mikey's not staying in the lines. You don't have to. You can do it however you want. Like Bob says, it's your world. I'm just kind of going around this little frame. With my janky scissors because they used to be nice. Do you got kids? Yeah, then you know how your scissors probably look like mine, where there's like glue on the side of them and who knows what. Okay, because I don't want to see this white. You don't really see it that bad on photo paper because it kind of seeps into that clay that has it on there. And my stamper over on the other table. So I'm just going to go around the edge with my ink. We could call this inking or chalking. I mean, there's no chalk involved, but we could still call it chalking if you want. Scrapbook world, it's chalking, right? The journaling world, it's inking. Inking makes more sense when it's ink. Okay. Ugh, making a mess. Okay, so I'm going to mount this down with some mounting squares, some little foam squares. But I also want to cut this one up. So I'm gonna quickly just cut around this, just so that I don't have this gigantic paper I'm working with. You can save this and make something with it. Okay, I'm gonna cut her out, and I'm just, don't worry about all her hair. Just make it a smooth cut and it will look good. And then I'm going to cut out these little cards. I always think this is kind of the fun stuff, is all the tiny little details that you can throw in. And, I mean, it's optional, and you don't have to do this, but it's a way to bring a little bit more to your cover and make it just a little more fancy. And one more, and then I'm going to cut out that butterfly. It's one of my favorite parts, is this butterfly's wing just kind of hanging out. So I'm just going around. I'm going to cut its head off because I just really want its wings. By Mr. Hatter. Okay, so then we have his wings. And just like before, I'm just going to add a little bit of ink along the edges here to hide that unsightly white paper. You might think I have something against white because I don't leave a lot of white in my designs, but I mean, white has its place. I tell my kids, though, is that when we are in art, to hide the white all the time. So maybe I'm just in that mindset. I just want to hide the white. Right, going around. Man, these are some tiny playing cards. You ever see those tutorials where people are using like tweezers to do stuff like this? And they have itty bitty little stuff. Yeah. Oh, right. Now, it's my box of mountain squares. Alright, so before I attach this to there, I want to put all the things on here. I'm going to glue her bottom part. So her skirt, I'm going to add glue. Then her head and hair, I'm going to do these mounting squares. You can get mounting tape, which is like in a strip, like tape. But you can also find these little mounting octagon, or not octagons, sorry, pentagons. No, how many is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, there's 6. Okay. So I'm going to line the bottom of this dress down here. Hexagon. It's a hexagon. 6 hex. Okay. And I've put that down. You can kind of see where I've cut the hair. You can't, I mean, it doesn't really, you see these little flyaways still behind her, which is fun. But then I like how she's kind of popping up because the bottom of her skirt is down. And then these guys, I wonder if I had to cut our little mounting. Nope, they fit right in there. My mounting hexagon, can't call it a square, it's a hexagon. I'm just going to put these right on top of the other ones, the cards underneath them. And it'll kind of look like they're floating off the page. All right, and the last thing for this front part is our butterfly. I'm just going to glue the very front of this, and then I'm going to layer it right on top, and I'm going to press down but kind of keep my finger behind here because I want it to pop up. So it looks like the butterfly wings are coming off the page. There we go. So that is done. Now flip it over and cover this with some mounting hexagons. You can go around the edge and then make sure that you put just a few in the center because otherwise it'll like cave in, and you don't want it to cave in, you want it to pop out. What a lovely sound this is making. I'm just pressing those all in because I wanted to make sure that they were down. Now pull all the backs off of these. Alright, I think I got them all. Then I'm just going to lay this right on top of that one. And just press down my little mounting hexagons. And that gives us that fun little pop out, you know, kind of three-dimensional look for our cover. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put the back spine on with our other closing ribbon, and then we are going to start in on putting our journal pages and dividers in. That is our next step. But I'm going to do all this off camera so that we're ready to just jump right into that. Okay, so I've gone ahead and finished up a few things. I attached the front. I put this little Adventures in Wonderland. This is found on one of the pages of the embellishments. I went ahead and added the back ribbon with the 2 heart brads. I added the back panel, and I think we're ready to move on. Okay, so I'll pull all this up here. What we're going to do now is work on our binding for our journal pages. We're also going to be adding in our dividers at the same time, so you can these little pieces hanging out, so you can decide which ones you want first. I'm going to put one of these dividers at the front, and what we're going to do is use some double-side tape. I'm going to turn this way for me because I think it'll just be a little bit easier for me, and hopefully you guys can still see what I am doing. So I'm running a strip down the center, and this is like, these pages are about 1/2 inch, but this is like a 1/4 inch tape, so it's not covering all of the paper because I'm going to add a little bit of glue as well, but I want to have something that's going to help this stick quickly. And now that I have it that way, I want to turn it back this way. And I will show you why. Because you could just use glue, but then you're going to be like holding it there for a little bit. So I'm going to take this, and this is the side that I printed the designer paper on. I'm just going to lay it flat up against this cover, the inside cover, and make sure that I'm matched up on my bottom and up on my top. And then I am just going to press this little strip down, and put a lot of glue right there. Clean that off. Clean my fingers. Okay, so there is our first divider, and you might notice a little, if there's like a dog here, you'll notice that there is a little bit of white showing there. If that bothers you, I have a little trick you can do. This is a just a double side marker, illustrating marker. This has got the brush tip, and I'm just going to, I chose the dark red because it kind of matches the red that's in the border trim, and I'm just going to go in and catch that white. If it doesn't bother you, just leave it. If you're like against white paper, that's one way to hide those little things, because sometimes you're going to lay it down and it's not going to go on perfectly straight. Okay, so now that I've got my one divider, I'm going to flip that over and I'm going to start adding in journal pages. While I was adding in the back and all that, I decided to add in all the little strips of tape on here. So you're not going to see me do that again. Just so that it doesn't take too long for me to put all of these journal pages in. So I'm going to run a little bit of glue down. And I'm just going to do a strip of glue because you saw how much glue there was on that. I think I need my journal pages. There are so many fun journal pages. I had so much fun. I love the Alice books, and this was one way to honor those books. Okay, I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to lay it flat. This just helps to get it in the corner there. I'm going to lay it flat, then I'm going to press this down once it's in the position that I want. I'm just going to flatten that out. And there is another journal page. I am going to now add in all of these. There are some significant breaks. You'll see where this was the top of the strip number 1. I'm going to put another of our dividers in there. And the reason why I'm going to do it on this back part is because I'm going to add pockets to the backs of these. And I want to be able to have room to put some stuff. So that's what I'm using this little 1/4 inch opening there. So I'm going to put one here, and then I'm going to put another one here on the last flap before the number 7. So yeah, number 7. And then this back one, I will put the last divider, and I will also be putting in I might put this in the middle. I think I'm gonna put this in the middle because I want it in the middle. This is gonna so I might go back and do that. I'll show you how to do it. Okay. Okay, so I've gone and put all the journal pages in, and I've gone through and wherever I saw white, I used a light tan marker to go in between. And then there was a couple times where I had too much glue and it kind of pulled up the paper as I was doing it. So I just went with a little lighter tan. And what's fun about this kit is you see all these rips and torn paper in the borders. Something like that, it just adds to it. You can't even tell once you're done. Another way of getting around this could be just printing this same patterned paper on the back of those strips, and that way you would just see the pattern. You could do that. I didn't want to get confused as I was putting it together, so that is why I left it purposely blank, because you know me, I love to waste ink. So you can see all these different beautiful pages. Most of this is original. The only ones that are not are these little guys, and these you might recognize from the book. I did get the licensing to put those on, so I'm not like just, you know, photocopying it out of a book. And this is like the Jabberwocky story, but it's been changed to be Alice instead of a random person. Okay, so those are all in. What I want to do now is on all of these, dividers. I can never remember what to call them. Dividers. I'm going to go ahead and put some pockets. And these pockets, when you print them out, there's a pretty hard line that you'll see to fold over. I'm just going to run a little bit of glue along the bottom. And then I'm going to place them in the center of this divider. And this kit, just like all my other kits, I designed them so that you can make them your own. So if this isn't where you want to put a pocket, then don't put the pocket here. Do something different. Maybe put it on straight. That looks a little better. Okay. So I want you to just have fun with it. I'm going to go to this last one here. Oh, I should also mention there is no order that the journal pages go in. I know some of the kits I've been asked, oh, well, is that in order of you would see in the book? And it's not. You saw mine were all mixed up, and I would move one if I made a mess on it. So there's no order to the pages, although you could look through the pages and probably set it in the order of the book. If you were to look at it, you could probably, if you were familiar with the story, go ahead and do that. Okay, I'm going to put this one at the beginning. It's not quite at the beginning. You'll also see little snippets from the book. You can see just little quotes. Okay, so that's done there. Okay, and the first one I printed on the back of this paper, and I just really like that paper, so I had a lot of fun doing that one. So I'm just going to leave that way. Now, this is pages 24 and 25. And I printed off 2 24s. So here's the other one. Here is, we'll move that off to the side. We don't need that. Okay. So we've got, I did not score these. I'm going to move this book over here for a second so I can focus on this guy. So this one is page 24, and I'm just gonna, ooh, I don't want that. I want to score it. You'll notice I printed these on the back of the designer paper, and that is because as a large pocket, which this is what it's going to create, you will see inside of it. If you want the white, just leave it white. That's just what I opted for. Okay, so this flap here with the checker board, this is going to be what attaches to the book. So if you go on this side, we're going to fold these in and fold this one in. And I'm just going to snip this corner just to help get rid of some bulk. Okay, and then this one is going to get glued down. So I'm going to do this with just glue because I want to really line up my edges so that they match. And having glue rather than using tape allows me to move things around a little bit more. So I'm just gonna try to match these mushrooms here up, and then the bottom where I see white, I will use my ink and ink it. Really press that in. Some of that extra glue. Now it matches really nice, and you have that little pocket in there. Okay, so I'm just going to go around my edge here. Okay. All right, so that part is done. On this side, I have this little keyhole, and what I did is, for this one, to open it up. Oh, so on this side, I just did the frame. Oh, and on that side I did the keyhole. Okay, so strike that. We're going to put the keyhole on the other side. On this side, we're going to do the frame. And I didn't cut this out all the way. I normally leave, because I like to leave a border around. Because sometimes you don't want to have it cut like right up against the art. And so I leave it on there kind of like a sticker would have that border. That way you can cut it as close as you want. But for some reason when I cut this out, I didn't do that. So pardon me as I cut my paper with my janky scissors. I'm going to be using some more of those mounting squares or hexagons, as mine are. Okay. And I'm just going to go around the edge of this just to kind of cover up that white edge. You're like, dude, you need to get yourself a new foam pad on that stamp. And I do. I hate it when it gets this way because then it leaves all these little pieces of foam as I'm inking. Okay. So, where did I put you? Some more foam. Are these going to be... I'm going to have to cut these in half. I think what I'm going to do, I have this whole edge here that is already halved. So I'm going to use that. And I'm just going to snip. Where are my little scissors? These do not cut well. Oh well. I'm just going to snip up that little line, and that will make my little half ones. This is an optional thing, by the way, but I really like little things that bring the kit to life, and I think this just happens to fit well with the theme of the book or the journal. I can't wait to give one of these away. See what people think of them. Alright, I'll pull the backs off of these. Alright. Now I'm just going to position this to frame the door. But one of my mounting squares has stuck itself out. Did not let you do that. I'm just going to cut it off and hopefully not make a mess over here. I'm a little too picky sometimes. Alright, I might have to come back and clean that up a little better. Alright, so that's done. I think I added some, yeah, I just put some of the little things on the corners here when I was adding the rest of the embellishments. Okay, on this side, we're going to need look at all that brass. And out of all this brass, I can't find my door handles. I have little door handles somewhere. Oh, I paused it to go looking for them, and I went through like everything, and I couldn't find them. And what do you know, they were right there the whole time. Yeah, I'm so well organized. All right, so this is a brad, but it's got this little handle, like a little door knocker. I thought it was cute. Okay, I'm gonna grab my door, and I did not score this. Why, Mikey, why? You don't have to score, but it sure does help to score. It just helps that paper know where to go. Stay. Alright, so this is going to be our pocket in the back. So that'll flip over like so. And then this will be our front. And where I'm going to put the door is over on this side, because I wanted to, yeah, because it's gonna, the hinges are here, so the door's gonna open there. But before I can put it there, I gotta put it on this side. Where is my foam piece? And my poker tool. Okay, so you can determine where you're gonna put the door handle. Oh my goodness, I forgot this broke. Be gone. Alright, I'm just gonna stick that in, make sure that it's straight. And I'm gonna come on this side and open these little legs up. Ooh, I bent it. That's okay. It bent in a good way. Alright, so now that I have this, I'm going to just grab some tape. I got some washi tape. I'll use this. You could use anything. Just glue another piece of little paper down. I'm just going to cover this up so that it doesn't snag on whatever I put in this pocket. If it were over on this side, then it wouldn't be an issue. Okay, make sure that your you always tuck in your side of your pocket first, and then your bottom. That way you don't have it catching on the bottom part as you're trying to put things in. So I'm just gonna fold that over. Now we have our little door handle, which is kind of important when you have, like, in the cartoon, the door handle like talks. Okay, so this is, you can choose to do this or not. I have this so that you could leave it like that. You could just do that, but I'm gonna be like really funny, and I'm going to cut this out. And so that I got this like really, well, I was excited for this tool that was like an X-Acto knife, and I got 2 of them. And when I got them, because you could, like, you know, just draw and it would cut things out. In the videos it shows you that, but it might work on like plain paper, but I can't get it to work on cardstock. So I'm just gonna go to my X-Acto knife. You could use scissors for this, but if you use scissors and you don't have the, you know, the chance to cut yourself, and Okay, so pull that out. And if you want, you can go in and grab all your white edges. Okay, so then this is good to go. Where are this? I'm going to add some more of these. Instead of doing, I'm going to be cutting strips, one down the center of this little, this hexagon, and then one on the ends, just so I have even smaller than the halves that I had on the other side, because this is super skinny. Oh, and that's going to be over. I don't want you. Hopefully these will be sticky after I'm done with it, since it keeps sticking to my fingers. I know, I should be using tweezers or something, right? Okay. I didn't put a whole bunch on there because really it's interactive, but it's not that interactive, or it's gonna like fall off. Trick is to make sure you got all the papers off. Okay, so I'm just going to position this over where that one is. Oh, that's gonna bother me. I'm gonna see if I can squish those in. Here I go, doctoring. Are you someone who is attentive to detail? My wife says I would get more designed faster if I weren't so detailed oriented. Okay, so I'm going to flip this guy back because I'm not too concerned about this showing while it's open, but I don't want it to show while it's closed. And I'm going to make sure that I lower it down enough so that I hide her feet. Okay. I'm just going to run some glue along that. Now, if you wanted to get like really into it, you could like put a magnet or something on the other side so that it like held the door shut even better. I'm not going to worry about that since it's going to be folded inside the book. I'm not too concerned with it opening up and letting her out too early. There you go. So now it opens and you have a little interactive element. Okay. So now we get to put this inside our book. Move some junk out of the way. Oh, that's the wrong one. I want this one. All right, so you can put this really anywhere you want. These places that you have the double, you could definitely put it there because it has a lot more room, so that you don't have to worry about like this getting too crushed by the other pages. And I think I might just put it there because I wanted to kind of put it in between all these pages instead of at the very end. So I'm going to run some glue along this strip. And then I'm going to push this down so that it's in the corners and the corners. And I'm just going to put this right on top of this other checkered strip. You could like really match it up so it looks like it was always there. All right, I'm going to let that dry a second. Okay, so one thing I want to show you is if you want, the kit comes with enough pages of these journal pages. There are 36, I think. 36? Or is it 40? Nope, it's 40. Ugh. 40 pages. 40 pages that fill up the book. And that gives you enough for the tabs, that the little tabs that hold it, the binding. And you have enough to put on all of the dividers. If you want to double your pages, so you want it to be a really thick book, which you can, I mean, it's sturdy enough to hold them. I'm going to show you how you can do that. And I'm just going to go to these first few front pages here. And I'm going to open this up. And I didn't print a journal page. This is actually just one of the... Oh, I'm sorry, I'm like having issues. It's one of the designer papers, and then I just printed on another designer paper that came with it. And I'm going to show you real quick how you can add in an extra page, which you might want to do. So I'm going to actually put it on this side. And what you're going to do is take your score and you're going to just do a 1/4 inch score. And because this is a lighter paper, don't press too far down or you'll tear your paper. So I've got that down. I'm going to just fold it up. And I'm going to run some tape. I'm not going to worry about gluing this because I know the tape's going to hold well because it's just gluing paper to paper and not really to the cardstock. Okay, so we have that. Just going to take the back of this off. And then, I put it on the wrong side. It's not going to go there. I'm going to go over to this side. Because I put it on this side where I want this to go straight down. So I'm just going to put this up against that. Little flap that holds the pages, and then when you open it, it will open up as another page. And I'm just going to do one so that you can see it in the center. I'm just going to put one here. So the same thing. I'm just going to do 1/4 inch. And you can print off double the pages. You could print a bunch of these, you know, just parchment stained coffee paper. You could put some of those designer papers in there because, you know, they're kind of fun. You can add different stuff to them. You'll give yourself a different kind of journal page that day. So I'm going to run this along the bottom. And did I do it on the right side? No, I didn't. Oh my goodness. What is wrong with me? Okay. You can see how this one is. I just want to show you how you could put them both back to back. Because then they... I'm going to do it on this one. Just because this is kind of at the end. I'm going to take that off. I'm going to attach this right. Oh, I want you guys to see the 2 pages together. You just see it like that, but then when you turn the page, it turns just like all the other pages. Because we did that score on there. I wanted you to see how you could add, potentially you could double your pages inside this book and it would still look beautiful. Okay, the last things before we can gussy this guy up is, now you can put these anywhere. These, I'm going to choose to put them in the back. These are our pockets that go in the, for the file folders. You'll notice that these have a line, a hard line here for you to score, and then you're going to score along the edge where that white meets the tan. And the reason for that is we're creating a pop-out pocket. And I'm going to show you how to put these on because they can get kind of tricky. Okay, I'm going to run some tape. I'm going to flip this over first. I'm going to run some tape along the bottom. And I'm going to do a tiny bit of glue. That way I can put more stuff in. Okay, now I'm going to hold it where it's right side up. I'm going to flip it over, so this is still my top. And I'm going to what am I doing? No. Sorry, I want to turn it upside down. So I want to flip it this way. And then I'm going to line this line up with where I'm planning on having my line here. I'm going to go to my second line. If you can, I don't know if you can see that. This is the hard score line, and then this is the next score line. I'm matching my score line up with this blue trim here. And then I'm just going to push down. And that way when I pull up, I know that it's even. These just get kind of tricky to put on. And then these sides, I'm not going to worry about glue. I'm just going to tape because I glued the bottom. pretty. Goodness, you'd think with how my fingers are coated with ink and all that, it would come off a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that these are tucked in and straight. Then I'm going to push down so that my corners are nice and straight. Use a tool like this or a ruler. And I'm going to come in here and just use this to make sure that my tape gets pressed down. I cannot see what I'm doing because it's pointing away from me. Okay, so that is pocket number 1. Do the same thing. And this just helps you to line these up so that they're even. Just folding those folds in. I'm going to run some tape along the bottom. I'm going to tape my sides too, just while I have it down here. And one more. Oh, I don't want to do that yet. Okay, I'm just going to pull off the bottom one. Run a little bit of glue. Then I'm going to do the same thing that I did on that other one. I'm going to line up this first score line with that blue there, and I'm going to line up the edge of this with my first score line there. That way it'll go on straight and we'll be able to even all of those other pockets together. Okay, so we got that down. Now we can take this tape off. Goodness, I'm having issues with the tape. I think I might have pulled a little too much of that tape off when I pulled it off, so I'm going to add a little bit of glue. Okay, so I'm going to tuck these in, make sure that we push down on it so that those corners get tucked in. Use your bone tool here to help flatten down those corners. So then we have 2. And these are what we're going to put these files in. Like so. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this one here and this one here. I left space because I want to put a pen holder, and I'm gonna actually like make one that's a little longer so that the pen will actually go all the way in. Before I do that, I'm gonna flip to the front here because that is where I'm gonna put these layered pockets. So you're gonna go biggest to smallest. Biggest goes down first. find your corner. I'm just going to leave a little bit of a trim of blue right here, but it's going to go all the way down to the red so that it's even with the top and bottom. Turn it down. And get this one. That one's going to hang out a little bit, so I'm going to trim it off. And then this one, we're going to give it a border by just bringing it up so that we have a little bit of that checkerboard pattern showing. And then our last one. And then just like those, I'm giving it just a little bit of a border. That way I have that stacked look to them. Alright, so those are those pockets. We've done these. I've got to show you how to make the pen holder. And looky this, I printed this out and didn't need it. So I'm going to show you how to do it with this. Okay, so what you're going to need is a roundish tool. This is just a scoring thing. You could use a dowel. You could use a pencil, but I want it to be slightly bigger than a pencil. You can kind of see how that's a little bit bigger than the pen that's going to go in there. And because I want to make sure that I have enough space, I'm just going to kind of mark how far I want this to go in. I'm thinking we're going to go to the top of that mushroom. Okay. And I'll tell you what the measurement is in just a second. So I'm just going to slice this off. And this measures 4 1/4. Now, I'm only going to need like 2 inches of this, I think. I'm going to give myself 3. I'll flip this over, give myself 3 inches. Oh, I don't want to score, I want to cut. And look, we've got some extras if I make a mistake. Okay, so you can decide whether you want to have whatever paper you came up with. I'm going to use this side as my outside, and I'm going to put my round tool down, just grab hold of this real tight, and I'm going to roll. And you want to try to keep it as even as you can. This tool slants in the middle, so I'm holding it at its fattest point. Put that back in because I need it to stay secure for me. Now I'm going to run some glue. This is about a 1/2 inch that I'm starting down with the glue. And you could use tape, but glue is going to hold this a whole lot better than glue. Glue is going to hold this a lot better than tape. The only drawback is that you got to hold it for a minute. I've got a lot of glue seeping out, so I'm just kind of blending it in. You're not going to see it because we're going to be gluing this down to the board. While that is drying, I'm going to pull this up a little bit, and you kind of see my tool has gone down. Grab some of that glue off, and I'm going to use scissors. Apparently I'm using these ones still. I'm going to come in here, and I'm just going to snip about 1/4 inch up all the way around, just a bunch of little snips, because then I'm going to take these and fold them in on top of each other. And as I fold them, there was already some glue that I was dealing with before. I'm just going to put in some glue as I go around. Then I'm going to be using the end of this tool that I can push down nice and firm on that. Hold it down and count to 20. That's what I tell my kids. Okay, so that is down. I'm going to stress it up a bit. It also hides any imperfections, but it looks like it's been there forever. Okay, so I got our little tube. We're done with this. This did not line up very well. That's okay. You can take and trim whatever you don't want off. You could line this with lace. That might be pretty. I'm just going to... Oh goodness, now it's in my head. I gotta grab some lace. Alright, I grabbed some lace. Alright, I just cut enough to go around, and it doesn't even go all the way around because this is going to be glued inside the book. So just gonna add some glue. I'm dabbing on glue because it is lacy. Now I'm going to make sure that this seam is on the back so that when I put this down I don't see that seam. Oh, that just looks cute. Kind of finished it off a little bit. Okay. So this here, I said I was done with this tool, but I'm going to use it one last time. Isn't it crazy what you can do with glue and paper? It's awesome. Okay, I'm just going to run some glue along this, and I probably put more than I need, but I want it to stick really well. Okay, so I'm going to use my tool to help me guide this into place, and I'm just going to set it right there, and I'm going to press down. The longer you let this sit before you mess with it, the better it will be. And I've got some glue hanging out on the side here that I will have to clean up. See if I've got a paintbrush handy. Ooh. a little too much glue. Okay. Wash that. Alright, I'm just going to leave that in place while I put these other two pockets in. And I think the next stage that I'm going to show you is just the sprucing it up, because pretty much we are done putting this book together. Oh, there's one last thing I want to show you. I'll wait on these, and I'm gonna pull out these. Okay, so these are the little pop out cards. I've cut them out. I thought I scored them. I didn't. Oh, why? So I show you how to score them. That's why. Move my cut blade down. Okay, I'm going to score along. Make sure my lines are lined up. Score along the center there. And then I'm going to score along each of these ends. So all the way across. And the same thing on this one. Alright, now we can fold these down, and I'm going to fold it in and fold this. I'm kind of doing an accordion fold where I'm folding it in and then out, so this one will then fold in. Then you'll notice these corners are all curved. I've cut these ones. I think I tried to, yeah, it won't fit with the little corner thing. So, oh my goodness, these scissors. They've seen so much better days. I'm just going to use my scissors to go around, making sure that I have it folded already. And then just going around, and that's a good way to get cut. And then we can just touch those corners up a bit. Okay. Set that one down. These were super thick. Okay. All right. So you'll see on this one, it says attached to page 19 cards, which is this one. So, I don't know if I scored that, but it just got folded. Okay, so I'm going to run some glue here. And then this is going to go right inside these cards. So we'll put these two aces together. So this was my brilliant plan of making this stopped. Like I had envisioned something else. And then I was like, oh, that didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. Make sure those are nice and tight. Okay. Because now you have this like cool deck, you know, well, it's not really a deck, but you have these cool cards. I was thinking it would be fun if like one of these pages you had it like down and then you just came out like that. However, if you did that, you only saw this side of the pages, and maybe I didn't like that you didn't see both sides of the cards, although that doesn't bother me now. Maybe it bothered me when I was putting this together. Just hiding the white. Okay, I think I will do that. That might be fun. Might be fun. I don't know if that'll close if I do it like that. You're going to have to make sure that these 2 points are even so that when you close it, they close together. In fact, that's probably how you would do it. Okay, so let me see if I can find a page that would work better. Is that too silly to have those there? The reason why is because this is hard and this is hard. But you know what? I think we're going to go to the front. Yeah, I think I'm going to go here to the front. Okay, so I'm going to close it up. I'm going to put some glue here. And I'm going to make sure that I can actually go right inside this pocket if I want. I'm just kind of holding it there. Had I thought this before, I probably would have put it in there before I had glued the bottom of the pocket down. Okay. Now that that's there, I'm going to put some glue along this one. And I'm going to close this divider and try to catch on this side so we know exactly where it's going to go. So now those cards open up as you see them, and you still see the backs of the cards, especially when you hold it up, you can see that they're cards. I think the only thing that bothers me is that this kind of cuts into this picture of Alice, but I think I'm going to print another one of these and make her a pop-up, which I showed you how to do that earlier. So I think that's all I'm going to show you talking wise how to put this together. The rest I will record, but I'm going to do it on a high speed just so you can see where I put everything.